We are live on A
All
Mighty
right.
Blaze. Oh my goodness, this is an historic situation, Andrea Bartz.
Certainly is.
We are the first interview streaming live on A Mighty Blaze. Look at my hand. I'm like
Wow.
ready to do battle. And
I love it. What a distinction.
right? I just know that this is a moment that shall go down in history
Yes.
because we decree it so. This is Reading with Robin here with Andrea Bartz on A Mighty Blaze. We're here to celebrate. It's pub day. The herd is out. Do you have your copy as well?
I do too. Yes, we can both hold them up.
So we can be a
There
herd
it
of
is.
herders, herding
Yes.
in the book. And it's, I mean, it is gorgeous. This is a book that will take you away, and it's just delicious. It's Andrea Bartz, and go to her website at andreabartz.com. I'm so excited to see a person. I was telling Andrea, there you are.
It's a thrilling moment. Yeah. Human interaction.
It really is. And we've been so excited. A Mighty Blaze got put together by Jenna Blum and Caroline Levitt real fast, and they have been working endlessly, tirelessly. We've been
Yes.
texting at all weird hours, and they've been telling me to sleep and rest. But if they're telling me that at those hours, I don't think they
Someone's
are.
not sleeping and resting. Yeah.
Right? And how are you doing? How you doing? You're in Brooklyn, right?
I'm in Brooklyn. Yeah. I'm in my studio apartment. I've got my cat. She'll probably make an appearance at some point. It's one of those best of times, worst of times kind of days, because I've been looking forward to this publication day for so long, and it feels great. And it's amazing that people are loving this book, but also, I can't leave my apartment. So it's not quite what I had in mind.
Isn't it
But
wild? Well, you were saying that you went for a run before, right?
mhm.
Can you quickly get somebody to make up a t-shirt front and back, and when you run, it's coming or going, they would see the herd?
That's an idea. I hadn't thought about that. I was joking about getting a t-shirt that just said, please just buy the book, because I was so sick of having these conversations about well, maybe it's going to do better because people are home and need reading, but they're saying the book industry is going to hurt right now. And I'm like, I mean, just buy the book. There's no article to be written about how to support authors, because it's just 3 words, buy the book.
Buy the book. It's I choose A in what you just said. My hope is that is yes, yeah, both things, but that more people, and I have seen this, they are looking for what to read. They're coming to A Mighty Blaze. They're coming to Reading with Robin. They're asking their friends. I get just about everything short of skywriting over my house. What do I read? And I'm always like, what are you in the mood for? No, so your t-shirt should say, have you heard? And then on the back, the herd.
The herd. That's good. That's
okay.
Good.
Can you send me?
Yeah, let's see if I have a Sharpie and a blank t-shirt to make this happen.
Right?
But no, I agree. And I hope you're right, because I think people need stories more than ever, right? And want to connect with characters. It's a way to really feel connected to people, even if they're fictional. So there's really a need for good reading.
Yeah, the fictional is so real. The characters do become so real. And this is a character-driven, smart, twisty thriller. Let me give you an intro.
Great.
I didn't do that at the beginning, but because I just, like I said, was so excited to see a person. Andrea Bartz is a Brooklyn-based journalist and author of, her first book was The Lost Night. Her work has appeared in the Wall Street Journal. Oh, thank you.
Visuals.
Love it. Marie Claire, Vogue, Cosmopolitan, Women's Health, Martha Stewart Living, Redbook, Elle, and many other outlets. She's held editorial positions at Glamour, Psychology Today, Self, among other titles. She's there in Brooklyn with her sweet kitten, Mona, who I got to see earlier, and we hope will tippy-toe across the set, as it were. Welcome to A Mighty Blaze.
Thank you.
Oh boy. So, The Herd, women co-working space, and a twisty thriller, best friends, ambitious women, family secrets. Where does this book begin for you?
So yeah, pretty much all of those things. The Herd, like you said, is a thriller that's set in this sort of exclusive elite all-female co-working space, and it's sort of upended when the glamorous founder Eleanor, disappears the night of a very important news conference and a big announcement. And so it's told from the alternating perspective of 2 of her very close friends who are sisters. who both sort of have different motivations for different agendas and different reasons for wanting to find their friend, in addition to just caring about their friend and wanting to find out what happened to her. And so, yeah, it really goes deep on some themes of commercialized feminism, consumerist feminism, complex female friendships. And I wanted to sort of capture the sky high expectations that we have and these sort of impossibly high standards for high achieving, ambitious, successful women in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, that is such a hot topic.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm in my mind imagining you zooming live with some of these kinds of co-working spaces virtually. I don't know if that's on your agenda, because there are
Yeah, we've been in touch with them. Nothing has quite shaken out yet. I think as everyone, much like you, is not working quite as quickly as you and Jen and Caroline to get it together, but I'm hoping so.
I think that would be a great idea, because the co-working spaces have such amazing energy. And now you've got one that is just for women. So when you were writing that, what are some of the things that you thought would engender more creativity? Is there more competition, or how co-working and symbiotic is that relationship in one of those spaces anyway?
Right. It's a great question. And I thought it would make a really good setting for a mystery because there's so much tension inherent in the idea. And so, I love that there are spaces that are free of the male gaze and where women can, in theory, just collaborate and sort of let their hair down. But I noticed that for myself, I'm not a member of any of them, but when I'm a guest at places like the Wing and the Luminary, and there's many of them, I found myself like thinking about my outfit and putting on makeup and like showing up and like trying to be the most sort of charming and charismatic version of myself. And it's like, wait a minute, like this is where I'm supposed to like be able to let loose. And yet this is where, even though there are no men around, I'm really trying to be spectacular in order to fit in here. It's almost like the standards are even higher. And there's also this.
I think so. I do think so. I know that from the women in similar situations, they dress to impress each other way more than,
right?
It depends on where you are. I mean, or what you're trying to attract, but in general, yeah.
Yeah, the bar feels very high. And I don't think it's because women are naturally catty or just naturally, competitive with each other or anything like that. But I think it has to do with our internalized misogyny and how we've sort of been told from birth as women that like success is a zero-sum game and the women around you are your competition and are your enemies, and for one to succeed another one needs to fail, which is just sort of messaging that men never got. And so I thought it'd be interesting to see how that would play out in this space that on the surface looks so ideal and beautiful and light filled, and it's a little bit warmer than an office because it's meant for women and it smells like Sumeria.
Nice and cozy. You could just feel the cozy, like they spent money on heat kind of thing.
Yep. You walk in and you just feel that, but then beneath the surface, there's more than meets the eye, which is always a good thing for a thriller writer.
Oh yeah, and thrillers are just like what people want. I mean, as if life isn't thrilling enough, but still that escape into a thriller. I know that my readers are always asking for those titles. And you have Samantha Downing, who I love. She writes fascinating and chilling, author of My Lovely Wife, and her new book comes out at the end of the month. So I was really excited to see, and you got so many amazing blurbs here on this book, so many of our favorites. And Jessica Knoll, and it's The Herd. Visit AndreaBartz.com, and from there you can go to all of her social channels. Has this given you some extra time to keep up on all that for Pub Day, or are you overwhelmed a bit?
It's funny. It feels even more busy this week with all the live streams and the newsletters and the Q&As and the Twitter chats. But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I would much rather be trying to connect with readers over books than sitting and being sad alone at home.
Right, you won't be bored, that's for sure. I mean, anybody that, I've been telling people that, I'm like, well, what are you reading? You can't possibly be bored. Are the kids bored? Let us give them some titles. It is an interesting mix because I also feel like there's so much going on and we're keeping up on so many channels. And then I think I'm so far behind on all of the other entertainment options because reading is my choice. but I see all of these, all these listicles of what you should be watching, what you should be doing. So it's a little overwhelming.
Right.
I would say just read and go to andreabartz.com. The Herd came out just today. It's Pub Day, which is a really big day, and I'm thrilled to be interviewing Andrea today on behalf of A Mighty Blaze. Speaking of women lifting women, so Jenna Blum and Caroline Levitt, and we have plenty of men that have joined the Blaze, but that's where the spark began. And talk about high-powered, motivating, all-encompassing, inclusive kinds of women. So I'm so proud of that. And so talk about your characters, because they must have been fun to write.
They were so fun to write. So there's sort of four main characters in this book. There's Eleanor, who's the founder. She goes missing pretty early on, and sort of remains this enigma with all these layers that people are peeling back like an onion. And then the two narrators are Hannah and Katie, and they're sisters, and they're very different. Katie, the younger sister, is a journalist, and she's brash and funny and kind of talks without thinking. And because of that, like, people love her. Men love her. Like, people just sort of like being around her, and she loves making them laugh. And then her older sister, who is sort of the alternating narrator, Hannah, is PR director for the Herd, and she is very buttoned up, on top of things. She's sort of the mom of the group. You can always depend on her. She anticipates people's needs before they even realize they have a need. And then their fourth friend in sort of the mix is named Mickey, and she's sort of the creative director. She does the design for the Herd, and she is like that boho, laid back, sort of, hippie hipster that every group has, that you can sort of imagine dancing in the forest in a mumblecore movie. And it was really fun to play with these different characters, because they're all sort of different archetypes in a way that, like, women can use to move through the world and, like, to make other people, as women, we're always sort of getting feedback on, what do other people like about me? How can I be, successful and accepted? And you sort of lean into those things. And so they all have these strategies that they've sort of, this armor that they've sort of built up. And it was fun to play with the dual narration, because Katie could sometimes, for example, be jealous of Hannah. Hannah's so in charge. Hannah really has it all together. That must feel nice. Whereas Hannah looks at Katie and thinks, like, man, I wish that I could just get a whole room laughing and, make a mess and walk away from it and trust someone else would take care of it for me. That must be nice. And so I think we all pretty easily fall into the trap of assuming that whatever someone else is doing, like, feels great and perfect for them. And we sort of envy that it's not that different from looking at people's Instagrams and thinking that must be their actual reality. And so it was really fun to play with these different characters. And then that's just, our central four. Then there's the men in their lives, and there's Eleanor's parents who are involved with the whole search for her, and a whole sort of network that all comes back to the Herd.
And there's so many different reasons people might have for the disappearance. There are different people to point blame. And so that's the fun of the thriller, and figuring that out. And you were saying about people's Instagram, and certainly we're all around looking even more so. And it seems that a lot of people have sort of let their hair down, figuratively, literally, or ish, not really. Look at me, I'm doing this, but still looks pretty glamorous. So it's
right.
Yeah, but there is always that grass is greener. And I think that when you really get to know somebody, and we certainly on a rational level know that isn't the truth. So when you've got sisters and there are secrets, so there's always that family secret. And we know we're not giving anything away here on A Mighty Blaze, because we want Andrea to come back. So we won't do that. But it's just so much fun to talk about the setup. Now, when you started the book, did you know who was going to be done?
I didn't have any. I started with nothing but a premise. So I really like sort of capturing these social milieu that feel close knit and close door, and they have their own sort of complex rules, and there's something sort of hip and elite about them. And so for the Lost Night, that was the warehouse parties of hipster Brooklyn, and for the Herd, it is the Herd. And so I just had this idea of a mystery set in a space like that I thought would offer a lot of really fun fodder. But I'm a pantser, not a plotter. As they say, I write by the seat of my pants.
Love it.
And so I started with nothing but a premise, and I had no idea what the answers to the mysteries were. I didn't know who done it or how or why. And even, I kept finding myself throwing in these additional mysteries. There's this mysterious misogynistic graffiti that shows up at the herd in the very first chapter. And for 90% of the book, I had no idea who had done it or how or why.
You wanted to put it there. Love that.
But right. I was just sort of throwing these things in to deal with later. And then, of course, there was crippling doubt somewhere in the middle when I was like, how am I going to land all these planes? But then finally, it was very exciting to sort of watch the pieces come together and the smaller mysteries feed into the larger mystery. And I was frankly shocked when I got to the end and realized
I love that.
All of the reveals.
Such a puzzle. And I think that's the part about, the reader gets the book, you're going for this incredible ride, but hearing about that. And I was really curious because I know some people are more plots or a pantser, but I was going to guess a little more like Katie might be and, see sort of what unfolds. I can't even imagine that moment where I know it's a process, but where you really go, and then how to write it so that we're guessing along and not guessing, we don't know, and then sort of bring us here and go this way. And that's why we love to read. It is such a joy. And I'm so thrilled to be with you here on Pub Day. Go to AndreaBartz.com for more information about the herd. And before I let you go, I know I read that you're working on a new book, which I would normally not ask, but I saw it. So I'm excited about that. You don't have to tell us anything about it yet, unless you want to. I don't want to confuse people. We want people to go and get the herd. You can download it. You can get it on Audible or, whatever. All the places you can get books, you can order online, and some of our favorite independent bookstores are still delivering.
Yes.
Some of them are setting up special times when you can go in one at a time. Where is your hometown bookstore?
I'm lucky enough to have a bunch of great ones, but Books Are Magic is one of my go-tos. Word in Greenpoint is incredible. McNally Jackson in Williamsburg is one of my go-tos, and so I think all of them are still doing shipping.
Are they? Oh, good to know. Yeah. I've had some of the bookstore owners on my show too to talk about ways to get books, and I know some are doing curbside pickup.
Yeah.
If there were a creative community, it would be the book people.
Absolutely.
And what are you reading? What are some of the books you're recommending?
Yes. I've been lucky enough to read some books that are coming up over the next few months, and there's a bunch I'm really excited about. One called Take Me Apart by Sarah Sliger comes out in April.
Yes. Yep.
It's incredible. It's a literary mystery. It's a lot of fun. It sort of reminds me of A.S. Byatt's Possession, if that's a book that you liked. It's about an archivist who, in going through the estate of a deceased photographer, begins to suspect that something afoul might have been involved with that death. And so that's a lot of fun. Miracle Creek by Angie Kim is coming out in paperback very soon, which is another great one. Megan Collins has a book coming out in August called Behind the Red Door.
I'm writing this down because I have coming on, and I know Angie. Okay.
Yeah. All books that I was lucky enough to read ahead of time, and they're all incredible. Those are just a few, but there's so many great books coming out. The New Girl by Harriet Walker is really incredible. Everyone Knows How Much I Love You by watch me blank on her name right now. Kyle McCarthy is coming up. There's just so much great, really well-written, sort of literary leaning mysteries and thrillers and suspense coming up. And it's an awesome time for that genre.
I love that. And people really do love that genre. You could tell from movies, from TV, from the series, from books. So yeah, I was like scribbling them down because of course, Andrew, I don't have enough to read.
Let's add them to your list. Add to the TBR.
I always do. I will never say no because it would be painful for me not to add it to the list. And also, if I can't read them all, I like to share them, and I like to share titles. And I love, if I read what you're writing and I love it, then I, of course, want to know what you're reading. And you should all be reading The Herd by Andrea Bartz. This is Reading with Robin for a mighty blaze for our maiden voyage with you. Who says we can't travel? traveling with you virtually. I wish you all the best, and
Thank
please
you
keep
so
in
much.
touch. I look forward to chatting again. AndreaBartz.com, and Andrea will go on, and you can leave comments because this is on Facebook Live, but you and I are in Zoom. So if you're leaving
Right.
comments, it's not that we're ignoring you. We are not rude. I mean, I don't know you will, but you don't look rude. Yes. And where's Mona? Mona, the kitty cat, didn't come back.
She's sleeping at my feet, so
Then we'll leave
she's,
her there.
yeah, she looks very cozy right now.
She came back. She came by on the camera, and she looked very large, but I couldn't tell. Like at first, I wasn't sure, or she looked
Right.
long. And I
Yeah,
saw
she's
her,
long and
yeah,
teeny.
I saw her
Skinny.
tail, and I was like, "Who is that?" You know.
I'm posting tons of photos and videos of her on my Twitter. So that's at Andy Bartz. Mona will say hi and bring joy into your life.
I know there's nothing like looking at at our pets and our furry friends to make us smile, for sure. So you can find Andy Bartz on Twitter, find her on Instagram, on Facebook, and at AndreaBartz.com. And Andrea will go down and answer questions. And as there are more, just check out I'll send you the links anyway. But it's Andrea Bartz, The Herd. It's Pub Day. Get yourself a copy. Get one for your friend, chat about it, pick it for your book club. Oh my God. And Reading with Robin here for A Mighty Blaze, and we'll be back later. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.